How the rich get richer. How do they do that? Well, they buy assets and they invest in themselves and they're fiscally responsible. Sure. But how do they get to that point? How do the rich get richer? What are their values? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel where we build financial power. My name is Matt and this is
Potter.
Appreciate you sliding by. Every Thursday, Friday, we put out a show, 10 Eastern, talking about this wonderful world of not only DeFi, but financial power. And what we want to finally do is start talking about some things that aren't necessarily just DeFi. And that's today. That's today. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. I nerd out over this type of stuff. And I have used this. I know Potter has used certain pieces of this. And by the way, none of this is financial advice. This is just something, these are some things that I've done. These are sort of my core values. And these are the things that lead to wealth, that lead to riches. These are things that the wealthy practice even where they're at now, but when they started. So Potter, how you feeling?
I'm okay. One of the things I guess people would say is, okay, YouTube boy, what makes you so, if you know that, why aren't you talking to me from your yacht?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
So how are you qualified to say that?
Good point. It's a good point. Been married now for what, 7 years, been together 13 years, 14 years. We got ourselves into a little bit of debt, you know, which is not super uncommon in the US. And we clawed our way out of it and became quite fiscally responsible. Myself, no, I'm not at the financial goal that I want to be at. It's something that I am working on. I'm in that phase still of investing in myself, building myself, learning and collecting assets slowly. No, I'm not financially free yet, but you can bet it's going to happen.
Right. The reason I was pointing to that, Matt, was to say you don't necessarily need to because of your father's background. You were raised on business finance. And I think people should know that part, right? Because that qualifies you more than, you know, pulling yourself out, just as much as pulling yourself out of debt.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I was fortunate, had a dad, very fiscally responsible. But I saw quite a bit in my family that was not fiscally responsible, sort of from, you know, different sides of the family. But it's something that's near and dear to my heart because it's, you know, it's something I'm after of wealth, of riches, of financial freedom.
Okay, so then what we talked about was, since this is kind of more in your wheelhouse, that maybe I could interview you, you know,
sure.
Ask you some stuff. We put some stuff together, but let's start. Did you want to say anything before we started?
I did want to say, hang out to the end. And I'm going to give you a little hack that is, that I think is, it's been quite life-changing for me. So hang out to the end. Go ahead, Potter.
Okie dokie. So let's go. I heard you talk about money in versus money out. Like, why is this important? What does it mean?
This is the absolute basic. If you do nothing else, this piece is absolutely critical. This is ultimately knowing what your budget is. And that sounds very boring, but really what it means is, do you know exactly how much you're bringing in each month? And do you know how much you are spending? Because if you do not know both, you are absolutely going to be in a position where you are broke. Like if you are not aware of it, you are never going to reach any sort of financial freedom. Never.
Is that like, so when you say money in, like, are you talking about how much goes into your investments or how much is in savings?
How much money you pull in, how much money you make through your day job, through your assets, through whatever amount of money you have coming in, that's that money in. You got to know how much is coming in, because then it dictates how much you can spend, how much you can save, how much if you only made $1,000 this month and you know you have $900 in bills, you got about $100 to live. So.
Oh, okay. So, and so when are there any strategies regarding the money out? Because the money out is when it starts to get to the.
Yeah. So the money out, that concept, we're actually going to talk about that. Sort of the wants versus the needs here in a minute. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Emergency fund.
Yes. So that sounds, I think, I think a lot of people have heard this term, but it sounds difficult to sort of build up to. But ultimately, this is exactly what it sounds like. Emergencies happen. Things come up in life when you don't, when you least expect it, it's going to happen. And that's not a negative light. It's just life. So stacking up a certain amount of money, typically around $1,000, being the goal, because something's going to happen. So reason you have this is so you don't put it on a credit card, so you don't have to pay any sort of interest. You have this to pay for the emergency. The goal should always be to build this up and have it, 1,000 should be the goal, depending on, your financial situation. Maybe that's 500. 1,000's always been like my sort of, that's where it's going to be.
How soon into your journey to pull yourself out of this was your emergency fund established?
That was after our sort of grasp of, all right, what do we have coming in? What do we have going out financially? That was our very next thing that we worked on. So, I mean, I think it took us maybe a few months to get it, but we had it and that was set. And then we could start working on the other pieces that were taking away from us. Yeah.
How did you guys come up with it? Like, because it sounds like you did like a percentage to come up with that 1,000.
Well, yeah. So, and that is difficult for a lot of people. Ultimately, I found the option of automated savings, because if you leave it to yourself to just, oh, sure, I'll put $25 in every Friday. Sure. You're going to forget. You're not going to do it. There is a physical pain of doing that. Whether you realize it, there's there's a mental pain of doing that. I'd be like, but this $25 could be a really nice meal. I could buy some horse shit. Like there's pain in that. So if you automatically save that money through a savings app, through, there's automatic deduction from your check, like, you're going to build it up really quickly. And you're not going to know it. You're not going to miss it.
Yeah. There's an app out there called Digit.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll literally take things out. I was using Digit and starting to accumulate, and then crypto happened and I was like, goodbye, Digit.
Yeah.
But when it comes to saving, it does it for you. It's like you said, it's automated, and it can automate your emergency fund. It knows it's an algorithm using AI that really starts to look. At first, it sucks at, why did you pull that out? But eventually it gets really good at it.
Yeah. There's a boatload of apps, and not only that, but whoever you bank with, they have the option to automatically switch it from your checking to your savings every time you get paid, or set it up whenever you want.
That's a good point. Banks do that.
There's umpteen options. You can do it for free. Yep. So a lot of people have credit card debt, like a whole bunch of people have credit card debt. And a lot of people have numerous credit cards. And there's a boatload of theories. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you my experience and what I've done and sort of what my values have been, and what I've seen wealthy people do. If you have numerous credit cards, the goal should be to pay off the lowest interest card first, assuming it's not the highest amount of money on it. Reason being is you want to pay off the quickest, because that's going to give you that mental boost and be like, thank God I have checked the box. I have accomplished something. So I did say lowest interest first. I'm wrong on that. My bad. Lowest amount first. Lowest.
Oh, okay. All right. I was like, ooh.
My bad. Whichever one is the lowest amount, get that one paid off the quickest, because it's going to give you that mental boost. It really is.
Is that what you did? Is that something that you practiced?
Absolutely.
And did the mental what?
Yeah.
Happen?
The satisfaction of being like, all right, thank you. Like what I've been paying down and working on and sacrificing for, finally it's a checkbox. I can be done with that. I can move on to whatever the next goal is, whatever is. Yeah.
I've lived debt free multiple times. And I can tell you that the biggest thing was, if you're going to not die the same day, you're going to get debt again tomorrow. So it's important that if you go ahead and you get back into debt, you still follow the same principle.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're going to get something, pay the highest interest one first.
Yeah.
It truly does work.
Yeah. Well, and also there's going to be, if you're shooting for wealth, there is a possibility of utilizing debt to your advantage. Leveraging credit to purchase things of assets and then be able to pay that all. Like, ultimately, the wealthy leverage other people's money. Like, it's quite possible. It is quite possible. Where people get eaten alive is that they don't pay it off in time, and they start paying a crap load of interest, and it's difficult to get out from underneath that hole. So there's such a shift of, I was raised to believe debt is a terrible thing. It's awful. It's horrible. Holy crap. Don't ever have it. But there again, debt can absolutely be used as leverage, but I would not suggest that. I wouldn't suggest any of this, but I would not suggest it to any of my close people if I knew fiscally they weren't responsible and they didn't have sort of aspirations of financial literacy, financial capitalization, if that makes sense.
Right. And if you're between like 17 and 22, it's going to be really, really hard for you to do that.
Yeah. I mean, different strokes, different folks. You never know.
Which kind of brings you into the, way wants versus needs.
Just stop buying stupid crap. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
But I want that drone.
I encourage you to practice this for 3 months. Every single time you're like, I want to buy that, man. Yay. I highly encourage you to take that money from your checking and put it into a savings account that you can't touch. And in 3 months, look at how much money you actually spent. Not a lot of people will do it, but you'd be shocked of how much you actually spent on crap that you didn't even realize you bought eventually. Amazon is notorious for the UI, the user interface, the user experience, and having you buy more. Like, the convenience of the one-click buy now, you think that was just happenstance? They have studied psychology and figured out how is it going to be the easiest for people to spend money. It is so simple to spend money. And when you use a credit card or a debit card versus cash, there's so much less mental pain in it. When that cash leaves your hands, how much more painful is that to see it leave your fingers? It's a physical thing. That credit card, debit card, it's made up. It's fictitious. It's not real. It's zeros and ones. So, good Lord, stop buying stupid crap. Really figure out what you want in your life, because there's going to come a day where you're sitting in your apartment and you're like, or wherever you're at, and you're going to be like, why did I buy that 6-foot sword sitting in the corner of my office? It makes no sense. People buy crap and then go to a job that they don't like to pay the debt for the crap that they don't like to impress people they don't know or like. It makes no friggin' sense.
Yeah, people, when I worked in retail, they would come in and they put things on layaway.
Yeah.
And it always broke my heart, because I'm like,
because you pay interest with layaway, right?
They would come in and they take out their cash and they would pay for things on layaway, and it would just hurt because the majority of the layaways, nobody ever came back.
Oh, and when you do layaway, do you pay interest when you do layaway? Mm-mm. No? Okay. Oh.
No, because they already know, hey, look, we're going to take this free money that you're never going to come back for a product that you're going to pay premium price for and be locked in at. That's going to go on sale by the time you pay for it. Ooh. But you're not coming back anyway. So they don't need to charge them interest because it's free money.
Wow. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Jeez. Huh.
But the one reason why I bring it up is because it was a good thing, right? To say, all right, I want that sword of Gryffindor, but I only wanted enough to put $10 a week on it, right? Yeah. So you put $10 a week on it, and then you go $100 into that $1,700 purchase. You go, you know what? I don't want this freaking sword. Let me get out while I can.
Yeah. Well, so the other side of this, so what we were just talking about right there was the wants. Like, don't buy stupid crap. The needs is something different. Obviously, you can't live without food. Obviously, you can't live without shelter for, a long period of time. So having those basic needs met, you have to figure out the best way that's going to work for you. So outside of here, I run a fitness business. I run a fitness YouTube channel. And one thing that I am so big on that I started in nursing school when I was broke was I started meal prepping. I started meal prepping for the budgetary reasoning. my wife was paying for everything. I was in school full time and I was broke. So my contribution was going to be, I'll cook all the food. And then in that process, it looks like I'm going to save a hell of a lot of money. So when I started nursing school, I started meal prepping. And if you just Google meal prepping or go on YouTube meal prepping,
or Matt Lane Fitness,
Matt Lane, I got a whole playlist of how to meal prep. But I did the math, and in 2014, I spent about $14,000 on food as a whole. She and I, we would, if we ever went out or if we ordered food in or whatever, spent about $14,000. We did that for an entire year meal prepping, and in 2015. I realized that we spent $7,000 on food. We cut the budget literally in half of our grocery bill. And I did that all through nursing. I saved $7,000 while in one of the most fiscally restrained times of my life. Really, it really opened the door of understanding that. And lo and behold, I actually got abs from it. When you eat whole foods, you drop body fat. So there's so many different benefits to it. But when you start finding things like that of, preparing your meals at home and all that, like you can really cut corners in a good way. Seriously.
Right. So. And so, some of the needs, if you're on YouTube, chances are you're not always just going to, Cracker Barrel or you're not going to Dollar Tree. You're probably technology oriented. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about needs, for me, when I got laid off in like 2009, mm-hmm. I had to keep my skills up to date. Mm-hmm. So that meant choosing between a subscription service that I could learn from that was expensive, or just buying a book.
Yep.
I buy the book, I don't learn. Mm-hmm. Right. So I had to go with what my needs were. You have to say, okay, I have to have this tool to develop. Mm-hmm. Can't develop with, you can develop in Notepad, but are you getting what's going to be used in the enterprise when you go to work? Are you using what's going to be needed in the interview? So especially during times like this, it's important to consider needs are beyond only the things that you want, but weigh what's a need versus a want. Once you do that, you'll see that. And that's correct. Literally what I did to decide, hey, technology, I have to get more technology to keep up for when I get opportunity at a job. Yep. So I just want to throw that in.
No, I like that a lot. You're 100% right. And it's, I say all these pieces, it's not a one size fits all. I'm not saying that it's easy. It can be simple, but it is not easy. Different people have different financial situations and they have different, everybody has a different situation. So, but some of this can apply, I feel, to almost everyone.
Right. Well, nice segue though, even though it isn't easy, there are easy things.
Easy. Yes, exactly. So I not too long ago, I ran into someone I know, and I'm related to them, but we're helping build their credit. And such a simple way to do it. You can get especially right now, you can get your hands on any sort of credit card. Doesn't have to be a lot, but just getting and this is assuming you have already paid down credit cards. You don't have a crap load of debt and whatnot. You can get a very basic, simple credit card, and then you can set up an automated payment of, come on, Matt, spit it out. You can set up buying one thing a month, one or two things a month, like $20, $10, whatever. You can do that off Amazon if you want. You can do like the auto subscribe and deliver thing. So if you need toothpaste every month, like you're probably going to need that, buy an essential, not a bullshit, buy something that's you're going to use, deodorant, whatever, automatically buy that. Just don't even think about it. And then automatically pay that. So you pay that off automatically through your checking account or whatever. You never touch it. And the benefit is you don't have to go to the store. You're no longer driving to the store using gas that's $85 a gallon to buy toothpaste. You're getting the toothpaste to the house. You're building your credit. You're paying it off. Because what happens is when you put that money on the credit card, even if you have a 90% interest rate or something ridiculous, if you pay it off before the end of the month, you're not charged that actual interest. So you're building credit automatically.
Yeah. One of the things is an ex-president that nobody likes for me to say his name, but one of the things before he became president, he helped me understand was building credit is as simple as going to a credit union and taking out a loan and basically doing the exact same thing Matt said.
Yeah.
Take it out, put it in a savings account.
Yep.
And pay it back monthly.
Yep.
That's not my advice. That's from a former president, right? Like that relationship with a small bank will get you much further
That's true.
than with a commercial bank.
That's true.
So if you're thinking of it as not only, I'm going to save up to just live, but I'm trying to save up. I'm trying to use these points that Matt's making to build a business. I'm trying to get to a goal. That is another way to build credit that a bank will look at you differently.
Yeah.
But the most important part is what Matt just said. You have to have that other credit before a credit union will even consider you. Generally, this is just my opinion, that they're not going to look at you and go, oh, yay, we get to be your first loan.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're a risk. And, to sort of clarify what that credit is, ultimately, credit is a bank, a lender of some sort. They want to look at the history and see, has this person been reliable? Have they paid their bills on time? Have they had problems? And that's what that credit is, to clarify that. So, yeah. And then lastly, that hack I was telling you about, because we all love hacks and tips and tricks. Speaking to savings and it being automated, that is huge. And like we were talking about earlier with the emergency fund, if you set that up automatically through the apps or through your bank or through whatever, there's a billion ways to do it. But this can be a caveat. And I've seen it get people into hot water. So you can get certain credit cards. Again, this is assuming you've already paid down all your debt and all that. You can get certain credit cards that give you rewards for using their card, right? Yeah. You get 2 points cash back on purchasing gas or whatever, which that all sounds cute. That all sounds really good. For some people, it's fantastic. For some people, it's awful. Because if you're like, oh, okay, well, if I shop on Grubhub, I'm gonna get $2. Like, that's great. But if you end up doing that and just buying more crap, then you're just going into debt to get $2. So while this can be a genius thing to do, to leverage these credit cards for the benefits they can give, it can get you in some hot water. So that can be a hack for ultimately automated savings. I think right now I got like $100 from a credit card that I use and pay off. That I've got $100 just because I use that credit card. Had I run it up, those benefits would be worthless. To me, it's a similar idea of like, oh look, I got a coupon, great. I can save whatever. I'm going to go buy this crap that I don't need. It makes no sense to me. It's a sale for a reason. They're bringing you in to buy it. So be careful with that. It might be pertinent to you. It might not be pertinent to you.
Yeah, there's, those apps that we were talking about. That's a way to, hack and automate your savings too.
Absolutely.
Get an app that just takes it out for you. Do your research. Don't
Absolutely.
just go out and say, hey, we got this crypto app. Just come on this blockchain and put it in your bank account. That's probably not healthy.
There's a billion ways to go about sort of fiscal responsibility. And again, these are just some of the things I've learned and used. We are not saying do it. Don't do it. Don't listen to us. We have zero qualifications. This is just anecdotal. But I do believe this is the way to riches, to financial power. This was a little...
I was going to say...
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, it's not just, Susie Orman or who's the other guy, some of these financial people. These are things that both Matt and I have done to get where we are. And, we're doing okay, right?
Yep. Without a doubt. Yep. We are here every Thursday, Friday. If you are feeling squirrely, slide on by. We appreciate you. Drop it in the comments. Any of these ring home with you? You think we're morons? Let us know. I want to know.
I don't want to know if I'm a moron. You tell him if he's a moron.
I want to know. You let me know. You got anything in closing?
No. Thanks for the info. I learned some stuff today. That was cool.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Well, builders, keep building.
Game on.